All right, what's happening? What's good? Welcome back and bear down. Yeah, there's not a lot happening right now. So, Memorial Day weekend. Hope you guys all had a wonderful Memorial weekend. If there were members of your family who helped preserve our freedoms and need to be honored, I hope you were able to do that. I did, and got to spend time with family, so that was good. A lot of speculating right now. A lot of speculating. I mean, we just can't help it with this team, with the content creators we have, with our media. We can't help but be unsatisfied with have to. I mean, we're used to at this point in the season having to add another major piece. I agree. We need a little bit more strength on the defensive line. We need a little strength on the running back room, but that's not how the team sees it. This team is compiled. So I'm going to do a little bit of a different take today. This team is a contender now team, and I'm going to show that. And they're not planning on making any more moves. So you've got person A, network B over here, trying to get us to trade for Trey Hendrickson, trying to get us to sign Nick Chubb, trying to get us to pick up a linebacker. I don't think any of those things are going to happen. I truly think this roster is set, and I'll show you by the salary cap. We speculated last week on Joe Thuney's extension, what that mean, and all these creators. This is the thing that I just give you my 2 cents. Okay, this is what I do on this channel for those who are unaware. I give you my 2 cents, and they all took it as, oh, we created salary cap. We're going to go out and sign somewhere. We're going to go get someone big. It's because they don't understand the salary cap. So I'm going to show the salary cap on here. Joe Thuney's contract is confirmed. So that's done. And now it leads us exactly where we thought it led us, at least on this channel. They are who they thought they were. The Bears are where we thought they were. And next year, we're already over the salary cap, even with it going up to $307 million. We're already over that salary cap. So this team isn't built to be adding more pieces. This team is built to contend now. This team is built. They believe they have the roster in place. So what's going on in Bears world? Well, right now, OTAs are back underway today. Hopefully, Caleb gets in front of the microphone and shuts it all down quickly. We put all that nonsense to rest, and it's gone. It should be not talked about anymore. I apologize if I'm talking about it now. I'm just saying it needs to be done and dead with OTAs. That's probably going to happen today. I would maybe right now while I'm recording this. So I apologize if I'm recording this too early. I'll get something else later tonight. Memorial Day was good to get away, to break away though. And then 1920 football drive this morning. For those who didn't check it out, go check it out. Half-hour episode on the draft. The Bears got everyone they wanted to get. They traded down with their second round pick. Traded down with it, picked up the 2 guys they were targeting. And then they were targeting Ruben Hippolyte. They got exactly what they wanted. They said linebacker, guard, running back. They got what they wanted. Now, I do have some insider info, as fun as that is. Sometimes people doubt it because you're not someone who usually breaks stuff. But they got a running back that they saw as an early day 3 pick. They saw Kyle Monangai as a 5th round-ish pick, and that's insider info. So take it for what it is. I think the Bears are very pleased with the draft haul they got. The biggest thing happened in trades and acquisitions and free agency, though, and this team is now where we are. So my point today is we're not trading. We're not signing new stuff. Will they add something? I highly doubt. Not even a Nick Chubb. I really don't believe it. I believe they're high on DeAndre Swift. Hey there, buddy. I do believe they're high on DeAndre Swift. I do believe that. I believe they're ready to roll with him, and with Ian Wheeler when he gets healthy, with Kyle Monangai, with Roschon Johnson, I believe they're high with this team. Will that mean they won't add next year in the draft? I think they will. I think they'll add. Next year's running back class is just as stacked as this year's running back class. All we heard offseason was how stacked this running back class is. Next year's class is just as stacked, with probably higher top end talent at the very top, not coming from the Mountain West, coming from actual Power 4 conference schools that could impact this team long term. So 1920 football drive was awesome. I don't think we're doing anything. And then let's just review the salary cap real quick so you guys can see it is exactly where we thought it was. So the big news last week, we extended Joe Thuney, and then I just showed a comparison on here from last year's team to this year's team. Newman. If you haven't seen 1920 football drive, that won't make sense unless you already get the Seinfeld reference. But that was Ian Cunningham and Ryan Poles joking around before the draft. And then here's what we showed on the assumption of the salary cap with this team moving forward. We assumed right down here, let's make this thing small like we like to do, that it was $8 million to split the other 2 years. This is Brad Biggs reported it was 8 million. So we weren't guessing on this part, but this part we were guessing on. The other 2 years equaled out. And that was a total guess. And then we found out that that's exactly what the Bears ended up doing. Move me down here. Let's move me over here. I got to move all over the place for these things. So this is what we assumed from my little spreadsheet over here. This is Spotrac. If you pull it up today, you can see over the weekend, this is actually a couple days ago, it updated, actually several days ago, but I'm just showing you guys now, 8 million, 21.5, 21.5. Well, what does that leave us long-term implications with the salary cap? We already went over it last week, but I'm going to show you, this is why we're not adding new players to this roster. This team is set. I mean, if we do add something, I don't see it happening with the salary cap long term, because I do think we want this buffer. We always run with a buffer cap. For those who don't know, we run with 5 to 10 million in buffer cap. We did it last year, and then we ended up having to roll over this year. Rollover of 5 to 6 million is what we rolled over with this last year into this year. That helped us with the salary cap. We're going to have some of that with this roster next year, with 2026 moving forward. We're going to have a little bit of buffer cap rolling over, because we're already right on that borderline of where the salary cap fits. I do think it's interesting that nobody else is talking about this, because we have completely leveraged the future. Like, we are limited on the decision making we can make for the next couple of years because what the Bears have done. But I I love it, because we are a contender this year. We just got to break that mold of believing we can't be a contender until it happens, because this team is built. But if you want to look here, this is Spotrac, and look what Spotrac has. So here's their multi-year table, okay? And you can see Case Keenum, Tyson Bagent, Austin Reed not on the roster for next year. Caleb Williams is. Go down, and there's multiple like this. Travis Homer not. The other ones, and really he might not even make the roster this year. So we'll see what happens. Wide receivers, you can see Olamide Zaccheaus, Devin Duvernay, who were both mentioned in 1920 Football Drive this morning. So obviously impactful. Miles Boykin, some of these probably might not even make the roster after that, but these guys not on the roster after this point. But you can see the elevation of the salary cap moving forward. Tight ends, we only have 2 on the roster next year. Our most important 2, but only 2, and we will have a third somewhere. So there's going to have to be something added there. You can see where I'm getting with this. The offensive line, now this is neat. I like that this is set for the next couple years. Set. But then you got here, some guys will need to be replaced. And I can almost guarantee, as much as you can guarantee, that Braxton Jones won't be extended at this point. He's either going to get dealt, he'll get traded, or we'll let him walk for a comp pick, because of where we stand on next year's roster, on next year's cap. And this is Joe Tooney right here. You can see we guessed from everything that was coming out from Brad Biggs and everything you heard that it was 8 and then 21.5, 21.5, just because we averaged the last 2 years. Well, that's accurate. That's what it ended up being. And then you've got here several backup spots that need to be filled as well. Same as defensive line. Andrew Billings, what's going to happen there? Are we going to draft a nose tackle next year? Gervon Dexter, possible extension coming down the road. Dominic Robinson. Some of these other guys, we're actually pretty set here for the main part for our primary roster, though. Linebacker, pretty set here. A lot of places think we're going to add one, but we can't. We're not going to add one. And then here, the defensive backs. This is really where the most work is going to have to come into play. Safety. Backup cornerback. Ryan is really safety. He's not a quarterback. Elijah Hicks is our backup safety. So a lot of these are going to have to be addressed. And right now, if you look, let's go all the way down here. Salary cap 2025. This is not before cuts. Okay, so take the cuts out of it, and you look at next year. 307 is what they estimate, and they've already got us 1,054,000 over. So we're already over with a lot of spots needing to be filled. A lot of these safety spots, a lot of safety. A lot of safety spots need to be filled. A lot of backup positions need to be filled, and we are already out of salary cap. So where does that leave us in picking someone up? It doesn't leave a lot of options. So I go over to my fancy little spreadsheet that I do, and you guys, I've shown you guys on here. Here's a 53-man count, here's the 90-man count. You can see 2026, I'm only counting those that I would have in the who I think are going to make the roster. So I'm not even counting Ian Wheeler, Deion Hankins. And I do think Ian Wheeler is going to make this roster, but I can't put him above Travis Homer until we get through camp. So that could be another addition of $1 million there. Take Travis Homer off the books. Same thing here with the wide receivers, missing 2 spots there, not counting these 2 spots. So as I've made mine, then you got the tight ends, you got the offensive line. I'm not counting, down here, Jordan McFadden. I'm not counting his. And I'm not counting Dominique Robinson or Jerome Carvin or Xavier Carlton. I'm not counting those ones. I'm not counting Noah Sewell. So I'm not counting some of these, and you get down here, here's the salary cap estimated next year, 307.5, already at 298. So when you sit there at 8837 this year left, that was necessary with Joe Thuney just to get us under, just to give us a buffer cap so we can make it through this season. And then some of this will roll over to next year if we need it to, if we don't use it all up. But we always roll with some. And then if something happens, we need to sign a guy mid-season. If someone gets injured, we need to, do something. Then there's flexibility there. I don't see that 8 million, especially when that's almost identical to what we ran into last season with, what we started the season with. I don't see us, rolling into next season, this season with less than that. I don't see us desperate to add a spot when we've done so much work. If anything, some of these might need to be addressed, and maybe, one of these guys need to make the roster. One of these guys, Jeremiah Walker, needs to make the roster. I don't know, Tysheem Johnson, Major Burns, maybe one of those guys need to make the roster over, heaven forbid, Elijah Hicks or someone. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how the cut downs happen, but I'm just not on this train that you hear all these content creators on of, we're going to add this guy, we're going to add that guy, we're going to add, a running back, we're going to add a linebacker. I just don't see that happening with our salary cap. So keep positional battles underway, OTAs underway. I will do breakdowns of that. I'm going to break down which positions I think are at most at stake. The biggest battles are going to be at. I'm going to break down the defensive line, how much our run game has already improved. Ruben Hippolyte being talked about in 1920 Football Drive, coming up, hitting the line. How well our run defense should be this year. So I've got some videos coming up, but I'm not going to get into the speculative. Are we going to sign Trey Hendrick? Are we going to trade for Trey Hendrickson? Are we going to sign Nick Chubb? Are we going to sign a linebacker? Are we going to add to this roster? I don't think that's happening. Whole point of this video is I think this team is a contender now. So I said I wouldn't do it. I'm going to do it. Said I wouldn't do a schedule prediction video. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do a schedule prediction video. And I do think we have 10 plus wins on this roster. Guys, the biggest thing, you look at the Vikings, Kevin O'Connell, that Vikings team shouldn't have achieved what they did last year. The coach did that. That's coaching. Look right there. What's that? We got the coach. It's hard for Bears fans to accept that things can change. It's hard for us to accept that this could be a different situation for us moving forward. I get the PTSD of it, but I really think this is the roster, and they built it for multiple years to come. This team is going to gel and cohese. If we don't make the playoffs this year, I am severely disappointed, not just in a we need to finally make the playoffs type of way. I'm a Bears fan. I need to make the playoffs. Please, can we make the playoffs? We need to. No, this roster's built for the playoffs. We're not making many changes next year. We're going to add some draft picks. That's about it. So it's time to accept that they've rebuilt this roster, and the expectation should be on this team to compete 100%. So with that, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Till next time, the Bears. Hopefully we hear some stuff really soon from OTAs and Bear Down.
Bear Down Sports, making Chicago proud.
You know what to do. Hit that like button, subscribe, share with your friends.